I'm going to call to order the October 22nd Village of Webster Board meeting. Trustee Myers, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first up, I'm going to open up the meeting to public comments. I would ask that you give us your name and address and keep your comments to 5 minutes, please.
Rick Walder, 20 Elm Street. My question tonight was a continuing question that there has been no answers to yet. It's been over 2 years since we signed contracts with the Water Authority to change from our good, decent drinking water to the stuff we get now. I wondered, whatever happened to the cell towers? With less than a year left to remove, or maybe a little over a year, depending on which date you go by, the actual contract date or the actual transfer of water date. The contract, from what we were led to believe, was 3 years are where they are, and then the village was going to move them to a new tower. I see no tower. I have heard nothing about clearance from the FCC or the FAA, the permission for a tower, no bids. We've heard about none. Are we still going to move the cell towers off the water tower to a new tower to take advantage of the lease of these from the cell companies?
That's the plan. And you don't need clearance from the FAA if the tower is under 200 feet.
Okay, so you got one. How about the FCC?
No information on that for you at this time.
Well, it's been 2 years.
Okay.
I mean, are we a little trouble keeping our feet moving, or are we just dragging? Is there going to be an answer to this, or are we going to wait 3 years and lose that source of revenue too?
No, you won't.
We've lost several sources of revenue, as in the last audit, we heard that the village had, what was it, 200, I believe, don't quote me exactly, $212,000 less in revenues than we did in expenditures last year. I had one other question concerning water. I believe I saw a contractor truck filling up with water, a hydro seed truck at the village connection back here behind the village hall the other day. Is this true?
I'm unaware of that.
Yes,
What is the deal with the water? Why are we giving water away?
because by the lease, we're not allowed to sell it.
So we're giving it away.
We're letting the people that are doing the work in the village for the state, New York State DOT, as part of when we were working with the DOT doing the work, they're filling up occasionally up at our spot where we fill up the same place where we fill up the water intakes and all that.
Well, with the contractor bidding on a contract, has he not included the price of the cost of water in his contract? And why
As I said,
are
it was a New
we
York State
giving,
DOT project. I wasn't involved in the contracting, the bidding, or the
then
letting.
why are we giving the water away?
Well, they're depositing it here in the village.
Why are
We're not
we,
hauling it out, but
why are we paying
I'll let you
village
finish.
taxes?
All right.
Village
All right.
taxes to buy water for a contractor.
that's going to a hydro seeder that's placing the hydro seed along the village streets.
If I have some front lawn done, will the village furnish the water to hydro seed it?
I was approached by
If
New
it's a
York.
state contract, shouldn't the state be paying for the water? I mean, the contractor is getting reimbursed by the state of New York. Why are we paying for water we have to buy and then give it away?
I don't believe he's reimbursing, or he's seeking reimbursement from the state of New York for the water that he's not having to pay for.
Well, he
That's
should
getting
be
used
getting
here.
that as part of his contract, that if you hire out a hydro seed truck, he buys his own water as a general rule. You don't come to your house and stick your hose in his tank for half an hour to fill it up so he can hydroseed your lawn. He should be buying his own because he's being paid by the state of New York to do this.
Anything else, Mr. Walter?
No, thank you.
All right.
Give my money
Thank you
away.
very much,
You're
sir.
doing very good at it.
Have a good evening. Anyone else?
Eric Reynolds, 64 Kircher Park. So I agree with Mr. Walter on his take on the water. We are paying state taxes to have the DOT work on our roads out here. And additionally, we're also paying village taxes to supply the water as well. So we're getting taxed twice. So my main concern here is, can someone tell me about the special meeting that happened on the 19th?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that when we review the minutes.
Okay, well, I was looking for the minutes online and I couldn't find them.
They're in the packet.
I didn't see
They're
them
not
in the
online?
packet.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They're not, they weren't on the in the packet online.
Okay, we'll review that.
Well, okay, so my second question to that effect is, when was that meeting posted?
I believe the day before.
So I believe that state law requires, that it's required to be posted 72 hours in advance.
Not true.
Okay, can you extrapolate on that, Mr. White?
Well, if you let me find the section of the public officers law.
I'll stop my timer while.
Well, we go by my timer, not yours.
Well, no, we'll go by the 5 minutes.
All right. Well, then why don't you move on to your next subject while
Well,
he's looking this
I'm
up.
waiting to have this subject answered. Because my next question hinges on that, on the answer to that. Well, I can ask another question. How many of the board members were apprised of that meeting?
All of them.
Everyone knew that that meeting was going on
Yeah.
before it happened?
Yeah.
Okay. Did the newspaper know about it?
Yes, they did.
And
It
when
just
were they
says,
apprised?
at Section 104 of the Public Officers Law,
Mhm.
subsection 2 says, well, first of all, what you're referring to is subsection 1 that says if it was a meeting that was scheduled at least 1 week prior thereto, then you have to post 72 hours before the meeting.
Okay.
This meeting was not scheduled a week in advance.
Okay.
It was scheduled less than that. So the next section says, public notice of the time and place of every other meeting shall be given to the extent practicable to the news media and shall be conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations at a reasonable time prior thereto. Just says a reasonable time prior thereto.
Okay, so a reasonable time is,
35 seconds?
it, apparently,
I
they,
doubt 35 seconds because it wasn't posted 35 seconds. I believe the mayor said the day before.
That's
I
correct.
believe it was the morning of, but, so, second, additionally, this meeting was in concern to water infrastructure, meeting that Ms. Lysak was to go to.
Wastewater.
Pardon me? It
was
didn't say
wastewater.
anything about wastewater
Oh, you didn't see
in the
that?
agenda. So as far as water infrastructure, I don't believe we have any water infrastructure anymore because that has been disbanded. So if it was to do with water infrastructure, I asked, why do we have anything going on? If it was to do with wastewater, why wasn't it posted as wastewater?
It did.
Well, I mean, you can shrug your shoulders all
I'm
you
just telling
want,
you,
but
it was
explain
dealing
to
with
me.
wastewater grants and loans available, okay? That's why she went to the conference, to look
Okay.
into that information and bring that back,
Okay.
okay?
And
I received
so-
the email, the Thursday prior to it, which is why we were not able to schedule that at a regular board meeting, because the next board meeting is this board meeting.
Okay.
And the conference was before the board meeting.
Right.
Which is why we had to have that meeting on Monday.
Okay, so why wasn't it posted on Friday?
Because I didn't have all the contacts and commitments from enough board members to be available to attend the meeting. Okay, as soon as I got confirmation that we had enough to have a quorum, we scheduled the meeting, and that was on Monday.
Again, this seems very, very underhanded and behind the board.
How is it underhanded if I call all the board members, ask them if they can attend a meeting that I was notified on a Thursday about? How is it nefarious or underhanded, Mr. Reynolds? It is not.
It
okay?
just seems to be.
Well,
And if it
that's-
seems to be,
that is your
that's what it is.
interpretation. That's your interpretation.
It's more than my interpretation.
Okay. Next question, sir.
That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Nesbitt.
Ron Nesbitt, 1000 Ridge Road. I think everybody knows where that's at. Mr. Mayor, Village Trustees, I'm here this evening to set the record straight on a conversation that Mayor Cahill and myself had about a month ago. It has been reported in the Webster Herald and reported here by a village resident that Mayor Cahill and I had a conversation about the town taking over the village treatment plant. I'm here tonight to tell you that no such conversation ever took place. And the village resident reporting this conversation is grossly in error. The exact conversation that Mayor Cahill and I had was this. The mayor asked if the town's treatment plant could handle the sewage from the village, to which I told him I did not know, and that we are presently doing a study of the plant for efficiencies, and I would incorporate that into the study. End of conversation, and no other conversation has taken place since then. I also have varied conversations all the time with other supervisors, the superintendent of schools, the village mayor, president of the chamber, about many subjects that impact Webster residents, and I find it seriously obnoxious that a village resident can stand up here and pronounce that he knows what I said in a private conversation. Now, I get upset when others want to put words into my mouth that I didn't say, just to make themselves look important. It also happened on this website called Webster Citizen Action. I don't know if any of you have seen it. To me, it's a joke. But this is the Webster Citizens Action. You got that, Karen? Okay? Website. Where it says, and it's written by Carol Nichols. I don't know the lady. Acting unilaterally and without board approval, Cahill has asked the town to investigate taking over the village sewer treatment plant. Complete lie. Okay? Faced with $1.5 million expense, past village boards have found a way to preserve village services led by their mayors. What a joke. 1996 through 1998, I begged this village board to sign a water contract which would give the village 25 cents on every gallon of water that was used in the town. That revenue would be flowing through this village right now, and you'd have more than $1.5 million to fix the sewer treatment plant. No, not all mayors have done a good job. Deke Bay, Jack Judge, Phil Sinagula, Dave Whitlock, and the administrator at that time voted constantly not to work with the town. And they sued the town for millions and millions of dollars. And this is where we're at today. As we go on in this website, It said village residents will be faced with a hefty sewer tax. The town rate is $165 per year. That's also a lie. Town rate is $167.50. All you had to do is a little research. Plus the cost of treating village sewage if the village plant shut down. Wait a minute. Right now in the village, we charge capital and O&M for $167.50, and we don't charge our residents any more money. So why would I, if we did such a deal, charge more money to the village after we do O&M cost? Why would I do that? It's, again, fabricated. It goes on here, and it gives a phone number on this website. So I've called this phone number twice. Left my name and number. Nobody's ever gotten back to me. I wonder why. It says they also have a board of directors, but I don't know who that is because they don't print it. In closing, I would like to say that I watch the village board meetings when I can, and to me and other residents that speak to me, they are embarrassing. I would suggest to the village board that going forward, you have open to the floor after the cameras are off. Some village residents are playing to the cameras for attention, and I wouldn't give them the forum to do so. I would still have open to the floor after the cameras are off so they can make their points to the village board and their right to free speech. The reason for my taking this approach is simply because at this time, the town of Webster, village of Webster, Chamber of Commerce, and the BID are working very hard to compete for the Best America Communities Award of $3 million. And we have judges from this organization looking at this community right now for their likes and their dislikes of our community as they judge us for a $3 million award. We are not presenting our best foot forward every 2 weeks here at Village Hall with this nonsense and misinformation going on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nesbitt. Appreciate I do greatly appreciate Supervisor Nesbitt taking the time out of his evening to come in and speak to the board, and I must say, I very much agree with his statements this evening. Anyone else this evening? All right, next we'll move on to village board business. First up, we have a resolution to approve the minutes of the October board meeting, October 8th. Anyone have any questions?
No.
Okay, in that case, I'll entertain a motion a second to approve the minutes for October 8th board meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Lancy,
Aye.
trustee Polito,
Aye.
trustee Byers,
Aye.
Mayor Cahill,
Aye.
motion passes.
Next is the resolution to approve the village board special meeting of October 19th that we have discussed previously. It was to allow Christiana Lezak, our treasurer, to attend a conference sponsored by NICOM regarding with grants and loan availabilities for water treatment and wastewater treatment plants. I'll entertain a motion in a second unless anyone has any comments or questions.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Polito,
Aye.
trustee Byers,
Aye.
trustee Lancy,
I was absent, so I wasn't sure how to go with that. Can I?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm fine.
you can still vote.
you could still,
Okay, fine.
so you,
Aye.
okay. And Mayor Cahill?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next, we have a resolution to approve the claims and warrants. Anybody have any questions on the bills?
No, I'll review them this evening.
And I had also gone over them, and I do not have a question at all.
All right, that event, I'll entertain a motion in a second to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Byers?
Aye.
Trustee Lance? Hippolito?
Aye.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Mayor Cahill?
Aye.
Motion passes.
As was announced at the last board meeting, during the, at the conclusion of the meeting, I did publicly notify everyone that there is an opening on the zoning board of appeals. Shortly thereafter, I received a request from Carl Lauer expressing his interest in accepting the position on the zoning board of appeals. Carl has been the chair of the Historic Preservation Commission for a number of years now. And I'm happy that he's interested in filling this position. So if anyone, does anyone have any comments, questions?
I don't have any particular comments. I've talked with him. He has an interest in doing it, and seems willing to make the effort to attend the meetings and conferences that are necessary.
Okay, well,
Do we have any other candidates?
I've
Anybody
heard
else?
from nobody else, no.
I asked someone, but I don't know if he has responded, so. I don't know.
Well, we have someone interested, and there also is, just so you know, there could potentially be an alternate position available too, so. We do have Carl. Carl's been, actively involved in the village for a number of years, so, with the board's permission, I'd like to put the nomination up at this board meeting. You okay with that? All right. Well, I'll entertain a motion in a second to appoint Carl Lauer to the zoning board of appeals then. Do I have a motion in a second?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Hippolito?
Aye.
Trustee Byers?
Aye.
Trustee Lancy?
No.
Mayor Cahill?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Carol, do you wanna-
This particular time, I would like to ask for a motion for authorization for Carl to attend, as a zoning board member, to attend the fall local government workshop along with Bill Baker, who has been previously approved to do so. It is on November 13th at Batavia, and the cost would not exceed $75. They are going to be doing both a planning board overview, a zoning board overview. It will offer 2 hours of CEO credit to him, along with a couple of other, I think, relatively important presentations. So,
Are you available on that date?
Yeah,
Carl?
I signed up for that.
Okay. Well, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mayor Cahill?
Yes.
Trustee Byers?
Yes, aye.
Trustee Hippolito?
Aye.
Trustee Lancy?
Yeah.
Motion passes.
Josette, would you just make sure that the application and the check is sent in, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
There are also, I just want to reinforce to you that there is a position, 2 positions actually. One of them is for alternate on the planning board, and the other is an alternate for the zoning board. So we are looking actively for people who have interest to fulfill or to fill those two positions that have been vacant for quite a while apparently.
Thank you, Trustee Byers. Next is the reappointment of Michael O'Connor and William Baker to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 5-year term. So I'll entertain a motion in a second for that. I'll do that next. She's up next.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Alito?
Aye.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Trustee Byers?
Aye.
Mayor Cahill?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next, we have the reappointment of Kathleen Bills and Peter Bowers to the Planning Board of Appeals for a 5-year term. So I'll entertain a motion in a second.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Alito?
Aye.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Trustee Byers?
Aye.
Mayor Cahill?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next, we have the authorization to appoint Ed Atkinson as chairman of the Historic Preservation Commission. And that is a annual term, correct?
Yes. He's not here tonight because his son is in
That,
surgery.
that's fine.
All right.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Trustee Alito?
Aye.
Trustee Byers?
Aye.
Mayor Cahill?
Aye.
Motion passes.
If I could take a moment, I would like to read something that was sent in by Carl, and it regards the position of, his position, former position now of chairman. And it reads this: Mayor Cahill, after much thought, I have decided to conclude my position as chairman of the Village of Webster Historic Preservation Commission effective immediately. I have proudly served in this volunteer position, and my tenure has lasted 6 years. When I was appointed chairman, 2 items on my agenda were the preservation of the railroad baggage depot and the rededication of the Robb Cemetery. Also, my commission carried out many other important duties as described in the village master plan. Clearly, we found a need for the formation of a nonprofit group. The Friends of Historic Preservation became a reality. This group, composed of 5 persons, is dedicated to the reconstruction of the now deconstructed baggage depot and work closely with the HPC and the village with monetary support and help with projects going forward. I am proud to have been involved in these issues as chairman. I will remain as commissioner, as I am always interested in preservation. However, I will become fully involved in our main project, the baggage depot. And he makes a recommendation. I highly recommend Ed Atkinson as my replacement as chairman. He is knowledgeable on matters of preservation, an architect by profession, good leadership abilities, and is supported by the commissioners. And I feel he will do a good job in leading the HPC. So just wanted everybody to hear that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your service, Carl, and dedication to the village. Greatly appreciated. Put in a tremendous amount of hours, especially on the baggage depot building. Say nothing of, the sweat equity you also have into that. So it's greatly, greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have the authorization for Christina Lezak, the treasurer, to attend the GFI Advanced Forum on November 1st at a cost not to exceed $150. Questions, anyone? The GFI is the Government Finance Institute, and in that she is the treasurer, it is beneficial to her and the village.
Yep.
So I'll entertain a motion in a second to allow her to attend this conference.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Byers?
Aye.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Trustee Alito?
Aye.
Mayor Cahill?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, next we have the authorization for Jake Swingley to attend the NYWEA's fall seminar at a cost not to exceed $40. Some of the topics, let's see,
Can you
identifying.
explain a little bit about this, Jake, as to why you're interested in?
So we're with NYWEA's New York Water Environment Association, and the IC is the Industrial Issues Committee, and we meet, trying to think if it's every couple months, we'll get together, or at least that's how often I can make it, but we network with other folks that are in, from the regulatory standpoint, people, the regulators, the people that are subject to the regulations, and the people that have the enforcement, we kind of all get together, discuss some of the issues that are up and coming up in regards to the sewer use, and similar things for industrial users of our sewer systems, and some of the different problems that we might face or issues that might arise. One of the things that there's just changes to some of the cooling water and things of that nature regarding Legionnaire's disease and some of the requirements of that, which now prompts industry like Xerox to have different treatment that they have to do to that water before they send it to us, and we want to make sure we're in good communication with them when they're going to send us any water, so we know what's coming, if they send down a cooling water. Immediately, once those regulations started changing, we were having discussions. They were sending us the MSDS sheets from the materials and the products that they use for water treatment, and we're going back and forth. So it's just a good opportunity to have those discussions and to meet with the regulators that are there too, folks from the DEC and stuff.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right.
And there's a hot one. So that's what I saw.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Trustee Ippolito?
Aye.
Trustee Byers?
Aye.
Mayor Cahill?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Do you have anything for us this evening, Don?
No, I do not.
Josette, office is up next.
Did everybody have a chance to look at the financial statements for September?
Yep.
Good.
Do you have a chance to go through this, Josette? Do you have any summary for us at all?
The only thing that I have to let you know about is the modification and budget transfer.
Yeah, I see that. I was talking about the statement of expenditures, encumbrances, and appropriations. Well, there's a number of things that I'm a little bit concerned about. If you look at the percentage used column. But what I'll do, or I guess I'll have to do is, and it's primarily with the 0108 lines. Under vehicle repair, it's the first quarter, we already overspent on that line. Sewage treatment equipment, it's the first quarter, we're at 57%. And that's it after we modified the budget, amended the budget from 30,000 to 93,000. So what I'll do is I'll put a summary of my questions together, Jake, and send them over to you, so we can talk about them. So we have a budget transfer from line 0105, 512, 402 micropave. We're going to transfer $1,968.26 to the equipment line, 0105, 512, 200. And the reason for that is the purchase of a plate tamper that should be classified as equipment rather than tools. Just give us a brief overview of what that piece of equipment was for.
It's a plate tamper that we use when we're doing, asphalt or tamping stone.
Okay.
Under a sidewalk, and this one was used on the aqueducts in Rome, so we got our money's worth out of it.
Yeah.
So it was time.
Questions, anybody?
Did you just get that? You just started laughing like 10 minutes after you said it.
It took me a second. I'm sorry, I'm slow this
As
evening.
it does always. All right, so I'll entertain a motion in a second for this budget transfer modification.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Byers?
Aye.
Trustee Ippolito?
Aye.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Mayor Cahill?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next is our code enforcement building report for the month of September 2015. Mr. Will, you have the floor, sir.
Back to Jerry's comment. I think what made me chuckle was I pictured a Roman in steel-toe sandals working with this thing on the aqueduct. So that's sorry. my imagination. You have the report in front of you, everyone. The one main thing, because it would take me forever to talk about it, but I just want to talk about one main thing if I can, and that is 65 Sherwood Avenue.
Before you do that, can you entertain questions? Because I know it's going to be a little lengthy.
Yeah.
You seem a little apprehensive about
Oh,
that.
yeah, oh, what, about this?
No, about entertaining questions.
Well, sure.
Oh, see, there you go. There's the apprehension I'm hearing in your voice. It'll only be probably one, so.
I know which one it is.
Yeah, I know. Again, 104 East Main Street.
Yep.
I don't mean to belabor this property, but it is and has been an eyesore for quite some time. I know you've done a lot of work on it.
Yep.
You and I have had numerous discussions regarding this property. So just to outline what you have written here for those that haven't read it or seen it, the owner received a 6-month ACD, which is an adjournment with contemplation of dismissal, I take it, to address all the litany of violations on that property. Is that that's my understanding? Is that correct understanding?
So far?
Okay. So it also states that the owner must maintain property and contact me on a monthly basis regarding progress. You say you also contacted the bank. They will be winterizing the building soon. This property is vacant. I believe the 104 is still, I don't know if you made any progress regarding that door being open.
Yeah.
It's not secured, which could lead to, people going in there and doing all sorts of things. I mean,
Yeah, especially since you announced it on TV. That's good.
well. You assured me that you would have it,
Yeah.
you would have it secured, so
Yeah.
I just based that on, my belief that you do what you say you will do, so I'm sure now it is
you
secured.
win.
Wow.
You win. You
Put
win.
it right back on.
So
Yes.
my question to you is, what have you, from a communication standpoint, documentation standpoint, have you set any type of intermediate goals for this gentleman? Like, okay, you need to have this violation cured by this. Has he made any commitments whatsoever, or what is this report going to entail?
Sure.
Because I don't want to sit here in 6 months and none of these violations have been cured, because just walking by that place, he's going to have to invest a significant amount of money
That's correct.
to bring that property up to code.
Yeah. And right now, he's in the foreclosure process. We discussed that before, too. He has been very cooperative with me the whole time. I've not had one problem with this gentleman. He's communicated with me, and we've gone over to the place, we've looked at it. I've talked to his wife. They've been on an extended vacation. They're coming back shortly, and we're going to be going through the place and documenting, as I said before, the interior of it to verify what type of condition it actually is in.
Okay, communications are great. All right, I have no problem with that. I'm glad he's responding, but, we've been talking about this for probably a year now, and nothing's been done, to my knowledge, visibly, to cure these violations. So I'm not really confident that, other than conversations, there's going to be any hammers going to nails
Right.
to do anything with this building. And just because it's in a state of foreclosure does not preclude him from fulfilling his obligations with respect to curing these violations. And for the judge to give him a 6-month ACD, it would seem to me that he has given some type of a commitment to curing these violations. So again, my question is, is there any type of game plan strategically that at the end of month 1, he's going to have these violations done? At the end of month 2, he's going to have these violations. Have you had that conversation with him?
I had that conversation with him and with the bank. The bank was the one that guaranteed me that they were going to go through the place and begin to take care of the violations themselves.
But the bank wasn't at court, correct?
No?
The guy that owns the house was at court.
Yes.
And he committed to the judge that he would have these resolved within 6 months?
No, that's not what he committed to,
Okay, so what was the point of a 6-month ACD then?
because we couldn't get a year ACD. That was the whole point. We wanted to keep the case open and not close it because of the violations. but we were trying to figure out what we could do with the individual because of the situation he's in. It's hard to get blood from a stone. He has no money and no equity and any ability to cure any of the violations. So I've been trying to work with the bank to get the violations taken care of.
Okay, but the bank doesn't actually own the house yet, correct?
I don't know.
Okay, so in lieu of that, he owns the house.
Yeah.
He's available to hold accountable,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, but he's going through bankruptcy. We can't touch him.
See, this is the first I've heard of that.
No, it isn't. I mentioned it a month ago.
Did you?
Yeah, remember? I think the attorney was here when we talked about it too.
I don't recall, hearing about a bankruptcy, but
I don't either.
in any event, even if he was assessed fines, penalties, those are not dischargeable in bankruptcy.
Right.
That doesn't mean he'll ever pay them,
Right.
but
Right.
he can't get
But
them
if you-
discharged in bankruptcy.
Right, but if he does not pay those fines,
Mm-hmm.
there's a mechanism for the village to be made whole, I think.
What do you mean for the village to be made whole?
Yeah, it's
Wait,
not,
wait.
If we assess a fine, okay,
Yeah.
doesn't it it gets attached to the tax of the house? No? You positive?
well, I'm pretty sure, yeah, because it's not,
No, I don't think fines
No?
you
Okay.
can't collect those like a tax.
Okay, all right.
so,
So every month, you're gonna report to us on this report,
oh, sure.
what's
go on.
been done or
Yeah.
not done, okay?
Sure.
All right. Thank you very much for your patience.
I think what Will's trying to say is, look, if you're the owner of the property, you're broke, you're going bankrupt,
Right.
you're not gonna put a nickel into the property because it's being foreclosed on, the bank's gonna take it from you.
I understand that. My confusion is, why did we give him a 6-month ACD? Because we know nothing's gonna happen to the property.
Well, because if you're the Webster judge, somebody commences, this action in the town court, it's gotta end somehow, so he ended it with an ACD.
Okay, so at the end of 6 months, we go back to court, right?
Well, if it's not done, you're right, if the stuff isn't done,
Then what happens?
I don't know, I guess at some point, you get the judge to levy a fine.
This is crazy.
Okay,
So, as I said before, these are difficult cases. I wish I had a magic wand to make things work, and I know everybody's been worried about this for so long, but hopefully we can move in the future towards progress. As far as 65 Sherwood Avenue is concerned, and talking to Don, our attorney here, Don White, what I'm going to do is, in a couple of weeks, I'll be presenting the board with my findings of, in writing, of my investigation and report. Not last Sunday, but the Sunday before last, I was allowed into the structure itself and took several pictures. Actually, what I want to do, even tonight, I think we're okay doing this, I'm going to hand these. And I like them back, though, because it's got information. I had better pictures, but these were quick. Again, it's 65 Sherwood Avenue. Fire happened about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years. No communication whatsoever from the owner. There's some background information there that I can't disclose right now, but I would like the board to seriously consider demolition when the time comes. But again, when I prepare the investigative report, I'll present that in a couple of weeks. And the way the process works is after I present the report, the board, I believe, sets a hearing date, 15 to 30 days from that report. We notify the owner in writing with specific data on the letter to allow them to rebut the report or state what they would like done with the house or what they plan on doing with the house. But from my own personal conversation with people that are close to the owner, nothing's going to happen. Taxes haven't been paid on it. It's just been sitting and left.
do you know where your contact information for the owner?
I have
Address, phone
no
number?
idea where the owner is. All I know is the owner is living with her daughter. And I don't know who the daughter is or where the daughter lives.
So do you want to run us through the,
The ordinance requires personal service on the owner.
It's more than, it's, I think, give me a second. Where is it? If no such person can be reasonably found, such notice shall be served by mailing both by regular and certified mail addressed to the last known address. That's section G.
Do you know the name of the daughter?
No, I do not. But I'll do my best to find out. But if I cannot find the name and where they live, we could serve it. I know the mail has been forwarded from that address.
Who let you in?
The son.
Well, we don't know the name of the
Yeah.
daughter.
Well, he was not willing to,
Oh.
so.
all right, so you want to discuss what the process is, the steps that we need to take, or do you want to do
Hopefully I
that?
can remember all this because it's pretty lengthy. Okay, so the first process is I present the board with the report.
Right.
Next step is the board reviews the report and recommends what they want done, the disposition of the house, whether they want it demolished or fixed or whatnot. At that point, the board sets the hearing date, 15 to 30 days after the initial meeting with the report. At that meeting, the homeowner is allowed to come and state their case and speak. If, even after the information received from the owner, if the owner indeed does show up, or whoever represents the owner, the board then finds what they would like done with the house, whether it's demolition or fixing it, and I would request that the board, we get a,
Engineering study?
no, something from the Supreme Court that would allow us to demolish the house, and then the cost of the demolition goes onto the property, to lien against the property, and the taxes.
So by the time everything's said and done, we're looking at spending probably 35 grand between asbestos abatement. You should probably have an engineering study done. That's gonna run you probably 2 grand. The abatement test is gonna run 2,500 to 4,000. And then they, if there is asbestos found in the house, you have to have it abated. That's another $10,000 to $15,000. And then to actually demolish the house, you're talking probably 15,000 to 25,000 minimum. And then then you have to backfill the basement if there is one. I don't know if there is, but
No,
if
there
there
isn't
isn't,
slab on grade.
okay, but you should probably, dig out the footers. And,
Yeah,
so it's gonna be an expensive venture if the village decides to demolish this house.
Yeah. It's probably more expensive to rebuild it.
Oh, it's significantly more.
I believe though, and you may correct me if I'm wrong, I have to look into this, but I think in emergency situations, it can be demolished without the whole worrying about the abatement with the asbestos. I think they just water the building while they're
That's called a
demolishing.
controlled demolition. But you still have to have an asbestos survey done.
Well, if they do a controlled, they just have it being tested why that thing's being done.
Well, the air quality is
Yeah,
tested while
it's
it's done,
the
but I'm
whole
talking
time.
about the survey itself. I'm not talking about abating the asbestos. I'm talking about doing a survey, a test to see, yeah, there is asbestos in there. That can be expensive.
And that's only if they don't deem it unsafe. If they deem it unsafe, nobody goes in there to do any testing. And that's what he's
Right.
talking about, it's an emergency.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you don't have to. If they say it's
We
unsafe,
had
you go in
a
there.
similar situation on North Avenue, I think it was 103 North Avenue. That house was demolished, it was the same situation, I went through the building and I created a report for the state?
We did that at
That's
one of our
fine, yeah.
buildings.
Well, we did one in, let's just make sure we dot our i's and cross our t's before we do that regarding the asbestos, because I don't want to,
Oh, yeah,
it can be some pretty significant fines.
sure. Oh, we're well aware.
So, yeah, if you want to follow that process and,
Okay.
I don't have a problem with it. Jerry? 'Cause I know the neighbors would like to see something done with that property.
You said something then that if it is demoed, the cost goes on to, against the property, and they have a year, something like that, to do something, or the county would, if they don't make it right. What were you talking about in terms of that?
I'll let Don answer that question. My recollection is if that isn't paid, then the county makes us whole, and the county is the one that recoups the money. I'm not sure. Don, am I?
I don't know, I think that's the case.
All right, well,
Okay.
if you could look into that.
Whenever someone, you don't pay your village taxes, they get re-levied, and ultimately, they go on the county bill. County reimburses the village, and then the county is the one that does the tax foreclosure. Now, I don't know if that extends to, these tens of thousands of dollars to demolish a building. If Monroe County's just gonna willy-nilly say, oh, sure, we'll just reimburse you, so don't worry about it. I don't know that. I know in the
We'll need
case,
that answer.
I know in the case of regular village property
Yeah.
taxes that are delinquent and ultimately get re-levied on your county bill, the county reimburses the village for those. These special things, I don't know.
We'll need an answer on that, most certainly, before
Yeah,
we go forward.
either way, I believe whoever buys the property would have to pay those taxes.
Assuming, it assumes that the vacant lot is worth more than
Right.
what
What
all
it
this
would
is
cost.
added up to. Otherwise, it'll sit there
Right.
forever, and the county will end up owning it. It'll just be a little county park, I suppose. Because if the lot's worth 30 grand, but there's $60,000 of tax liens against it, who in their right mind's gonna buy it?
Exactly. That's why we have so many of those properties in the city. They just sit. Nobody does anything with them. It's too costly to do anything. So,
So the banks don't want to take a loss.
yeah,
And that's after they put $70,000 into a $30,000 house, because they had insurance money.
yeah.
All right, thank you, Will.
Yes, sir.
Jake?
Yes, I just wanted to give an update quick on, leaves have begun to fall, and I just want to give my normal bi-weekly reminder not to put the leaves in the gutters or out into the street. If you rake them out near the edge of the road, we go through the village at least once every week. We're starting our second trip around now, so quite a few people started putting them out again. But we will get them, we'll keep going until the first snowfall, or real snowfall. The New York State DOT project, I talked with them, the engineers and the guy doing the construction, or the company doing the construction. The plan is for now to start Orchard Street, or just north of Orchard Street at the village line, and pave tomorrow, Friday, up to about May Street. Saturday, they're gonna be paving North Avenue from Main Street. It was May Street before. Now they're gonna be going from Main Street north to, just past the expressway where they finished. And on Monday, doing the aprons for the side streets that are in there. So there'll be some delays, especially this weekend, but it'll be nice to get that wrapped up. I do have a call into them too. There's a lot of concern about Kircher Park, the end of Kircher Park. By design, they didn't pave that when they paved the rest of the aprons, because there's so many big vehicles. There are yards down there. They're storing so many big vehicles and driving them back and forth, turning them right there, that they decided, instead of tearing up the new road, they would do that at the end when they're about backed out. So my assumption is Monday on that as well, but I wanted to confirm that with them to make sure. But in the meantime, luckily it connects into Baker Street. Lion Drive and come up and go out Baker Street, and that's paved real nice. So And then finally, just an update on North Avenue Connector Design Advisory Committee. The North Avenue Connector project was discussed at the last meeting. There was 9 members ultimately on that design committee, being the mayor, an additional board member, the executive director of Wicked is Matt Chatfield, planning board chairman. We have 2 residents, a business owner, Will Behrman, myself. I don't know if it was finalized, the additional board member, which board member was going to be, or if that's been decided yet. But I'll have that, and I made, I guess, notifications to one. I don't think Pete Adams knew that he was gonna be on it yet, but he graciously accepted it and was looking forward to it. And the additional members there from the community, I think we had a great mix. I think I shared before, Greg Chambry from Maplewood is a business owner. Tom Smith from Smith Insurance is a business owner and a resident right along that corridor. And then on the other end of the corridor, Bill Horath, who's got great insight as far
We
as,
should get some
you know,
females on there.
what's that?
I think we should get some females on there. Besides Will. Judy.
Okay, and that's it. I'm not gonna be nearly as long-winded as Will is.
Well, as far as board members go, I think that the board member that should be nominated is the one that's not here tonight. Isn't that usually the way things go?
No, I was being serious. I think there should be some, it seems like it was a pretty
Are you interested?
solid
Judy?
male group of people.
How often do you guys meet?
I'm anticipating 4 to 6 meetings in total. Really what this is gonna be, we're gonna try to get together during the day with the engineering and the design firm and basically just provide some feedback, kind of general direction, and get things kind of narrowed down before we go to a public. If you have a public information session and have infinite opportunities or infinite options available, it's not nearly as productive as if you get more focus. And this is just a representative group to kind of focus it a little bit so then the options can come up. So, and they can get sorted out and narrowed down some. And that's really, I mean, really the true, I really think the true meat and potatoes of the design, hopefully it's gonna be done by the design people. This is gonna be, you know, colors, maybe some style things, and, you know, some of the features and fixtures that we're gonna incorporate into it.
Sure.
So
Judy, yes?
Yeah.
Thank you, Judy.
Great.
Thanks, Chair.
We need your voice.
Okay, well, now
Yeah,
now we
right.
have all 9 members then.
Do you have an update for us on the trickling filter?
Yes, trickling filter is running now. I think I sent out that email. It's running. They did a temporary repair and emergency kind of repair to get it up and running. And the parts are ordered. Should be in the week of Thanksgiving, and they'll be installed shortly after that. Those are those connecting rods. And that was working, again, I think I mentioned it before, working through Bolter. It's a local company. We did source the parts for it when we were going along with Bolter as well. And just for comparison's sake, Bolter for the parts installed, right now it's gonna be about $22,000 for the those support rods and that. The other quote that the other quote we received, this is delivered. Installation and startup are not included. For the connecting rods, the same, apples to apples, it's $112,592. So, John worked hard getting John and I guess, I don't want to, but, yeah.
Divulge that information on TV either.
What's that?
I don't know if I divulge that information on TV. Our next bid's gonna be quite a bit higher.
Yeah, no, they were great, and they know what the other things were, and this is just, some of them think that when there's specialty, I'm not saying the company, that had that, but some of the companies, I think when it's a specialty equipment, you find it, I think in any, you think it's for a government or for the military or for the police or for a fire department, it's the same glove that you get anywhere, but since it's for the fire department, it's, 4 times as much, or if it's for a sewage treatment plant, it's a galvanized rod that's threaded on both ends, and they've got a few $1,000s for it. which is just obviously insane. So, that's it.
Appreciate the update.
One question, because it came up at the bid meeting, the land on the corner of the surplus state land, that is ours now?
No, it's not ours now, but we're continuing.
How are we going to move forward with North Avenue if that is not?
It's funny you mentioned that. I had a discussion today. I was talking to the gentleman from Lou Engineers about that. If that transition didn't happen before that project's going through, that's still within the right of way because the state still owns that property and it's actually part of the right of way for 104 there. He didn't anticipate, he was gonna talk to the gentleman from the state, didn't anticipate any issues even if that property transfer happened afterwards. The indications were that the property transfer is gonna be allowed to happen, but they're waiting for some final information back. I think it was through the Federal Highway Administration. But that's been going on for, I wanna say 3.5, 4 years maybe? Which is, it's the comptroller's office, the way it was explained to me, the comptroller's office decided they wanted to review all the fee waived property transfers. I mean, and keep it in perspective, we're talking about about 2/10 of an acre, I think, not even 2/10 of an acre. It's a real small little lot, but the comptroller's office decided that they needed to review all fee waived transfers of state property, but they hadn't yet come up with a way. They didn't know how they wanted to review them yet. They just knew that they should review them. So it kind of sat there until they figured out how they want to review them. And I have no explanation for that. It's by the time you get done, you're going to spend a lot more money reviewing it than the parcel's worth. So I think somehow the review ought to stop when they figure out that the review costs more than the property. Because that's just kind of wasteful. And one other thing too, just an update, or just some additional information or discussion about the water that's being used for the state project. We've been involved in intermunicipal cooperation. We work with the town, we work with the school district, we work with all sorts of different entities. They're using water within the right of way in our village. Right. There's not a big scheme or a scam. It's the guys
bottling and canning it.
No, and he's not taking it out of our area. So it's the money is coming out of the same pair of pants. It's a different pocket,
Right.
but it's still, we understand that it's taxpayer money.
It's coming
But-
out of two pockets.
Not really, because if you're not paying,
It's
Mr. Walter, that's enough. Mr. Walter.
Right.
Mr. Walter,
But-
that's enough.
then you actually submit for what the expenses
Thank you,
actually
Jay.
are,
Yeah.
so.
No,
but-
you're right, we've been
yeah.
doing that, we did it with Honeywell Falls, we do it with the town, when we're doing stuff, and also the county.
Yeah, and there's been some real narrow driveways here. We have a couple of road plates that we've allowed the state to use during that, when
Right.
there's real narrow driveways or a
Yep.
problem area. Ultimately, it's about service for our residents and
Right.
get those things in so they can get through, still maintain or have access to their property. If we need something, they're helping us out. We went over all the old rings, grates and things like that. We went over and picked up the other day. There's a lot of them we're gonna be able to use, and some of them are $300-400 a piece.
Right.
They were basically scrap, but we'll be able to put them back into our, we inspect them, if we can use them in our system for the drain inlets or the manhole covers, we're gonna be able to use those things, and the ones that aren't serviceable, we'll be able to scrap. They were
Right.
getting rid of them, so there's give and take. We're all here for the same people, we're all serving the residents, so it's working out good, I think.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
I absolutely agree with you 100%, and that's the way, things should be done. It's public notification, the serial bond interest and payment of the bond obtained in 2012 for $800,000. That payment will be made on November 13th, and the payment is $78,181.25. We'll open up the phone lines unless anyone has anything else that they'd like to add this evening.
We're good to go.
If anyone would like to call in, the number to call is 265-3772. I would ask that you please give us your name and address. The next village workshop will be November 3rd. The next village board meeting will be November 12th. And the following board meeting will be on a Tuesday because of Thanksgiving, and that'll be on November 24th.
Remind everybody that next weekend, trick or treat trail in the village on Saturday.
Gisette, do you have judges for the costume contest?
No, we are still looking for.
You're so bad.
I told him you made him a
You
judge.
told me that you made myself and Daryl judges.
Thank you.
You're supposed to work with me here.
Always start trouble, this guy.
I heard you're gonna be on the wagon.
Would you like to?
You're gonna be taking care of the horses and moving the people around on the
I'm
wagon.
gonna be up front passing out candy.
That's afterward. Afterward, we pass out the candy.
11. All right.
Will, you have anything else for us this evening? Anybody?
Yeah, well, one thing, I think, just did a, well, not just, a few weeks ago, I did a C of O for Pub 235. It's the new
Yes.
pub where Hanks was. I guess they're doing really well.
I heard it was like a half an hour wait to an hour wait to get seated, so they're doing very well.
Yeah.
They've been going through what's known, I believe, as a soft opening.
Yep.
And it's doing very, very well, and we're very, very excited and happy that they've opened that business up, another restaurant. They sell, I believe, specialty beer there, micro brewed beer or
I
something.
think so, yeah.
They have brick oven pizza, very extensive menu.
Yeah.
But they've done an amazing job architecturally with the outside and the inside, it looks
And
fantastic.
the buzz I hear is the cook's outstanding,
Yeah.
so,
How long you been cooking there?
no.
No, the food's very good. I mean, I've been there and
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
And I
They've done a fine
believe
job.
Old Fashioned Mac and Cheese will be opening very soon also. They were pushed back 6 weeks due to one of the counters had to get back ordered or something. So I know they've had their truck out at most of the events.
Yep.
The Garlic Festival, a lot of,
Yep.
the Jazz Festival,
Wine, even the wine
the wine
walk.
walks,
Yeah.
and people love their mac and cheese.
Oh.
Their smoked Gouda and 4 cheese, it's amazing, absolutely amazing, so. Now we just need an authentic Italian restaurant, and we're good to go. All right, unless anybody has anything, do we have to, because we haven't had a call in probably 3 or 4 board meetings, do we need to do anything downstairs to route the calls up here, Josette, prior to the meeting? No? No?
Yeah, it's on its own line.
I'll entertain a motion in a second to close the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
You want us just to say aye, or how do you want to do that?
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Good night.